The Dominion scout ship, Vathrid, drifted across the outer edges of Sol's dark frontier, its hull bristling with antennas, its crew bored and complacent. They had been told this was a formality, an old, empty system once whispered about in half-forgotten archives. Then the stars began to vanish. First it was one constellation, then another, swallowed by something immense sliding across the void. The helmsman froze, sweat beading on his scales. Gravitational anomaly, the sensor officer croaked. His display shook with static. It's too large. No, impossible. That shadow. The captain leaned forward, voice breaking. That's not an asteroid field. That's the world. The transmission ended in static. Arch-strategist Zorath Kaelwynen of the Taylor Dominion reviewed the recording with detached curiosity. In the vaulted chamber of the Grand War Council, crimson banners hung from towering pillars, and courtiers in layered silks whispered across the balconies. Before him floated the holographic playback, the stars devoured by something vast and unnatural. He let it loop once more before dismissing the image with a flick of his clawed hand. "A clever trick," he said coldly. "Some rebel faction cobbled together a distortion field. They know we fear the unknown." One of the elder advisors, a bent and weary Kirin, murmured, "The transmission mentioned Earth." Strategist. "Humans." The chamber erupted in low laughter. Voices overlapped, mocking and dismissive. "Extinct primitives. Never left their mud ball. Children's myths." Zorath did not smile. His red eyes narrowed, glimmering with something sharper than arrogance. "Myths have weight when soldiers vanish. Entire fleets have gone dark along the Orion corridor. The reports share one detail: shadows eclipsing stars." The laughter dwindled into uneasy silence. Zorath rose from his obsidian chair, towering over the council. His voice cut through the hall with the clarity of a blade. "If humans are responsible, they have chosen poorly. The Dominion does not forgive forgotten races for daring to rise." "Do you truly believe they survived?" the Kirin asked. Zorath's lips curled. "It does not matter what I believe. We will remind the galaxy why we rule it." He turned to the war map projected in the air, a glittering web of stars stretching across the Orion arm. A red marker pulsed faintly around Sol, an unremarkable system long abandoned in official records. "Dispatch the 8th Expeditionary Fleet," Zorath ordered. 200 warships, reconnaissance and annihilation capability. They will strip the system clean. A younger officer hesitated. "And if humans are truly there?" Zorath's claw tapped the edge of the console, deliberate and calm. "Then we drag them into the light and burn them there." They had their silence. It ends now. Rumors spread faster than orders. By the time the fleet mobilized, whispers had reached the outer colonies. Pilots and traders repeated the story with exaggerated dread. A phantom world moving through space, shadows that devoured entire constellations, voices of long-dead humans speaking from static. Most dismissed it. Humanity had been irrelevant for centuries. They had been a race of traders, explorers, and stubborn colonists, but they had no empires, no fleets of consequence. Their fall into obscurity was almost a relief to the powers who had once exploited their labor and ridiculed their ambitions. To think they had survived, much less built anything capable of eclipsing stars, was laughable. Yet the recording existed. The missing fleets were undeniable. Fear crept into places arrogance once ruled. On the command deck of the Dominion flagship Zorathos, the expedition's admiral studied the star charts with professional detachment. He did not share Zorath's confidence. Superstition whispered that humans were cursed, a species who vanished not from weakness, but from design. "Humans," he muttered under his breath, testing the word like an artifact. What kind of prey hides for centuries and resurfaces like this? His second-in-command offered a thin smile. "Prey that forgets it is prey, Admiral. We'll remind them." But even as the fleet accelerated towards Sol, a quiet unease lingered. Far away, Zora stood alone in the War Council's observation dome, staring at the endless scatter of stars. His reflection glimmered faintly in the glass, proud and unyielding. He spoke softly, a vow meant only for himself. "If humans breathe still, I will erase them so thoroughly no legend will survive, not even their ghosts." For centuries, the galaxy had believed humanity extinguished, consumed by time or weakness. But as the Dominion fleet surged forward, engines igniting like a swarm of fireflies, none of them truly understood what waited in the silence ahead. The humans had not vanished. They had been building, and the galaxy's long sleep was about to end. The Titanes floated in darkness like a planet wrenched from orbit and remade into war. Its surface gleamed with armored continents, shield arrays buried beneath layers of alloy and stone. Mountains concealed rail cannons the size of cities. Valleys were launch bays, yawning open to release wings of escort frigates. From a distance, it could be mistaken for a world. But worlds did not move with such silent precision. Admiral Kalen Vera stood at the panoramic viewport of the command deck, hands clasped behind his back. His uniform was simple, black with silver insignia at the collar, yet the officers around him carried themselves with reverence. They knew they were standing aboard the culmination of centuries of secrecy. Captain Lyra Essen approached, her voice low but sharp. Scouts confirmed Dominion ships have crossed the Oort perimeter. 200 vessels, standard formation. Kalen did not turn. Expected. She folded her arms, tension evident in her movements. They won't come to negotiate. We should strike first before they press further. Not yet. His tone was measured, calm. Let them see. Let them believe they are safe. A strike too soon, and they will dismiss us as another rabble with stolen technology. A demonstration, however, they cannot ignore. Lyra's jaw tightened. She was younger, fiery, the opposite of her admiral, yet her loyalty was absolute. You would risk letting them approach Sol itself. Kalen finally looked at her, his gray eyes steady. For centuries, the galaxy mocked us. They turned our colonies into resource farms, sneered when we asked for a seat at their tables, laughed when we withdrew. They think we are dust. To change that, we must show them something undeniable. The deck's lights dimmed as Chief Engineer Darius Holt joined them, his jumpsuit streaked with oil. His face bore the tired pride of a man who had seen his life's work completed. You'll forgive the interruption, Holt said, but I came to remind you what you're standing on. The Titanes isn't a bluff, Admiral. She'll hold against anything they throw. I know, Kalen replied. Holt's grin widened. Then it's time they see it. Time they realize humanity didn't crawl into a hole and die. Kalen allowed himself the smallest smile. Time they remember we endured. Across the command deck, officers worked in silence. Holographic charts displayed the Sol system, dotted with red markers drifting closer from the edge. Dominion warships, sleek, angular, overconfident. Against them, only one marker represented humanity, a single world-shaped colossus, still hidden in its cloaked nebula. Kalen stepped closer to the table. Status of secondary fleets? Ready, Lyra answered. Each planetary ship is cloaked and holding position in reserve. They await your signal. The Admiral nodded. Keep them hidden. For now, Titanes alone will speak. He walked the deck slowly, speaking to no one in particular, though every officer listened. Generations before us watched the galaxy tear itself apart. We saw empires rise and collapse while we remained silent. The silence was not surrender. It was patience. While they waged petty wars, we forged ring-world forges and hollowed asteroids into shipyards. While they flaunted their power, we turned entire worlds into weapons. He paused, eyes on the red markers inching closer. They called us fragile. Let them call us something else after today. The tactical officer raised her voice. Dominion fleet has entered the Kuiper boundary. Estimated arrival at Sol's inner orbit, 12 hours. Lyra straightened. Orders, Admiral? Kalen gave a single nod. Bring Titanes out of shadow. Let them see what waits for them. The officer's hands moved swiftly across the console. Outside, reality seemed to ripple. For centuries, humanity's engineers had perfected cloaking fields that bent light and masked energy signatures. Now, with a deep tremor, the shroud fell away. The Titanes revealed itself to the void. Far from its armored hull, Dominion captains froze as their sensors lit with warnings. At first, they thought they approached a planet. Then realization spread. Planets did not move toward them. What is that? One officer demanded. A station? A moon? Another stammered. The flagship's admiral hissed into the comms. No station of that size exists. Identify it. But there was only silence from the void, broken by the slow emergence of a voice across all channels. This is Admiral Kalen Vera, the Terran Ascendancy. The words cut through static like iron. For a moment, no one spoke. Humanity's language had not been heard in official channels for centuries. Kalen continued, calm and unwavering. You have trespassed into Sol. You will turn back now. This is your first and final warning. On the Dominion bridge, laughter erupted. The alien admiral leaned forward, sneer curling across his features. Terran, you claim the ghosts of Earth. We are no ghosts, Kalen replied. We are the storm you thought would never come. On Titanes, Lyra's fingers twitched over a console, itching for permission. They'll never leave peacefully. I know, Kalen said. His gaze never left the viewport. But history must record that we gave them the choice. The Dominion fleet advanced in silence, engines burning bright. Arrogance propelled them forward. Very well, Kalen murmured. He raised one hand, lowered it slowly. Target their forward line. Disable, do not annihilate. The galaxy must see we control the field, not rage against it. The command rang out. Massive conduits powered up beneath Titanes' surface, energy coursing like rivers of fire through the ship's interior. Deep inside its core, a cannon longer than mountains aligned with the void. For the first time in centuries, humanity prepared to speak not with words, but with fire. The Dominion fleet advanced without hesitation, engines burning like a swarm of torches in the void. 200 warships stretched across the black, their hulls gleaming with cruel geometry. To them, Earth was prey, a husk of a world. The Titanes blocking their path was nothing more than an obstacle to be crushed. On the Dominion flagships Arathos, Admiral Reln watched the colossal silhouette ahead with cold disdain. A hollowed moon. A bluff, he said, lips curling. Their arrogance will cost them dearly. His officers nodded, though unease flickered in their eyes. Reln activated the fleet-wide channel. Humans, he declared, his voice magnified across the stars. The Dominion claims the system. Surrender your vessels and your planet. Kneel, and perhaps we will leave you your heir. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then a reply, calm, unshaken. This is Admiral Kalen Vera of the Terran Ascendancy. You were warned. Turn back now. Realm barked laughter. One relic dares command the Dominion? Fire. On Titanes, alarms flared as energy beams lit the void. Hundreds of lances tore toward the planet ship, dazzling against the black. Shields holding, Lyra reported, eyes fixed on her console. The deck trembled faintly as the barrage cascaded against Titanes' defenses, light rippling across the ship's shield like waves across water. To the crew, it was nothing more than a vibration beneath their feet. Kalen remained motionless at the viewport. Return fire. One strike. Target? The tactical officer asked. Flagship's forward line. Make it clean. Deep in Titanes' core, the main cannon aligned. Energy funneled into its chambers, a sun cage in steel. The weapon fired, silent but apocalyptic. A beam wider than a city lanced across the dark, bridging millions of kilometers in a heartbeat. 5 Dominion cruisers ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. Their wreckage drifted as molten shards, glowing like fragments of fallen stars. The shockwave knocked other ships into disarray, formations crumbling. On the Dominion bridge, voices cracked with panic. Forward line destroyed. Shields couldn't register the impact. What is that weapon? Reln's knuckles whitened. Regroup? All ships converge. Overwhelm it. The enemy surged forward in chaotic waves. Titanes did not move. Its surface opened like a mechanical bloom. Valleys split into launch bays, escort frigates spilling into the void. Sleek human vessels darted forward, swarming the fractured formation. Kalen's voice remained calm, every order precise. Disable their engines. Leave survivors. The galaxy must see. Ion lances from human frigates pierced alien hulls, frying systems without detonating reactors. Ship after ship fell dark, drifting powerless. Lyra's hands clenched. We could end them all right here. And waste a moment, Kalen answered. His gaze never left the stars. Fear spreads further than fire. Let them crawl home and tell the story. Inside Zyrothos, Realm composure cracked. His fleet, veterans of 100 campaigns, was being dissected with surgical cruelty. Beams disabled weapons. Engines died without explosions. Human warships moved like hunters circling prey. A desperate officer shouted, "Admiral, we must retreat." "Retreat?" Realm roared. "From these fossils? Never." Then the second blast came. Titanes fired again, a single strike that carved through Realm's flank, tearing a battleship in half. The scream of rupturing metal echoed across comms before silence replaced it. Panic spread. Orders broke down. Ships scattered in all directions, formation lost entirely. Realm's fury collapsed into fear. His voice wavered. "Signal the strategist. Tell him humanity is not extinct." On Titanes, the battle was already won. Human ships guided crippled Dominion vessels into containment fields, leaving them adrift but intact. The void glittered with wreckage, silent monuments to arrogance. Kalen gave the final order. "Ceasefire. Let the survivors flee." His officers exchanged glances. Some looked frustrated, others relieved. Holt's gruff voice carried from the engineering pit. "You're letting them go?" After they fired first. Kalen turned to face him, eyes hard. "Yes, because their fear will serve us better than their ashes. By the time they return home, the story will already be larger than truth. A single ship, a world of steel, broke 200 of the Dominion's finest. That is how you change the galaxy's memory." The quiet after the battle felt heavier than the clash itself. On the decks of Titanes, engineers worked in calm efficiency. Medics tended to minor injuries, and the hum of colossal reactors echoed through the walls. Humanity had not suffered a single loss. Lyra walked to Kalen's side, lowering her voice. "They'll be back. Larger fleets. Entire coalitions." "I know," he replied. "You don't sound concerned." Kalen's gaze lingered on the drifting wreckage outside, the shattered fragments of Dominion pride, because today was not survival. It was declaration. The galaxy slept while we built this. Now they will wake, and they will find us waiting. Far across the stars, the shattered remnants of the Dominion fleet limped toward their borders, carrying with them recordings of the impossible, a warship the size of a planet, a fleet of escorts that struck with flawless precision, and a human admiral who spoke with the calm certainty of inevitability. The story would spread faster than any official report. Whispers would ignite across empires. Some would laugh, some would tremble, but none would forget. And in the War Council's halls, arch-strategist Zorth would see the truth with his own eyes. Humanity had returned. Kalen stood alone at the viewport as Sol's sun cast its light across Titanes' armored surface. He whispered, not for his officers, but for history itself. "Let them come. We waited centuries for this day. We will wait no longer." News of the Sol battle spread like a virus, faster than official channels could contain. Smugglers whispered it in backwater ports. Pirate captains traded recordings for favors. By the time Dominion War couriers limped home, the story was already out of their hands. Entire worlds buzzed with disbelief. The humans, thought long diminished, had revealed themselves with thunder. A single warship the size of a planet had shattered a Dominion armada, and then let the survivors escape. To the galaxy's rulers, it was not just a military strike. It was theater. On the Dominion capital world of Relther, the War Council assembled in a chamber vast as a stadium, walls lined with banners of conquered races. High above them loomed arch-strategist Zorth, tall and skeletal, his crimson eyes unblinking as he studied the shattered remnants of the returning fleet. Realm, once proud, now knelt in disgrace before him. His voice was hoarse. "We underestimated them. We believed the humans broken." "Aye." Zorth raised one clawed hand. The chamber silenced. "Underestimation is not a defense," Zorth said, voice sharp as glass. "The Dominion has ruled unchallenged for centuries. Yet one system defied 200 ships and left us humiliated. That cannot be ignored. Murmurs rippled through the council, some incredulous, others afraid. An elder strategist asked, was it truly one ship, or an illusion, some trick? Zorth played the battle recordings across the chamber walls. Titanes filled the display, a world of metal, firing a beam that erased cruisers in a single stroke. The council fell into silence. No illusion, Zorth said. Humanity has hidden their strength. They have waited, and now they reveal it. He leaned forward, eyes glinting. We will not make the same mistake twice. The humans have shown the galaxy their weapon. We will answer with the galaxy itself. Far from Dominion halls, in neutral space, the news carried a different weight. On the trade moon Carthus, a hub where thousands of species mingled, a bar filled with merchants and mercenaries erupted in debate as the footage replayed on holoscreens. A ship the size of a planet? Impossible, a reptilian trader hissed. Propaganda. A scarred mercenary slammed his drink. Propaganda doesn't vaporize battleships. I've seen that footage from 5 different angles. That beam was real. A quiet voice in the corner added, if humans built one, what makes you think they didn't build more? Silence fell. Even smugglers, drunk on spice, felt a ripple of unease. Rumor carried its own gravity, and humanity had just bent the galaxy's imagination. On Titanes, Kalen observed the fallout unfold across intercepted transmissions. Reports, speculations, even fear-laced council communiques. They poured across his displays like a tide. They're rattled, Lyra said, scanning coded reports. Even the empires outside the Dominion are arguing about what to do. Some want to ally with us. Others want to crush us before we grow. Kalen allowed himself the faintest smile. Exactly as intended. Fear forces choices. It divides our enemies before they unite. Holt entered from the engineering pits. Grease smeared across his sleeve. Divide all you want, Admiral. But don't think they'll just argue forever. Dominion pride won't let this stand. They'll throw everything they have next time. Kalen nodded. Then we must be ready. Titanes alone cannot face an armada of thousands. The galaxy must see that Sol is not an isolated fortress. They must see that humanity has returned everywhere. Far beyond, in the Dominion capital, Zorth plotted. His mind was a machine of patience. He addressed the council once more. We cannot crush Titanes with brute force. That would be costly and uncertain. Instead, we turn humanity's revelation against them. Spread word that humans intend conquest. Tell every empire that the Terran Ascendancy plans to expand, that their world ships will roll across the stars. Fear will unite them. Fear will do what our fleets alone cannot. The council murmured approval. And as for our fleets, Zorth continued, we will strike not at Titanes, but at their supply lines, their hidden forges. Find where they build these ships. Break the roots, and the tree dies. Realm bowed his head, disgraced but alive. Zorth's crimson gaze lingered on him. You failed once. You will not fail again. Lead the reconnaissance. Redeem yourself or be erased. Realm swallowed hard. I will not fail. The galaxy's currents shifted. Independent worlds, one indifferent to Terran whispers, now debated alliances in frantic secrecy. Some sought emissaries, hoping to reach out before the Dominion crushed them. Others swore to preemptively strike humanity, convinced the stories foretold domination. Everywhere, the same question echoed. How many Titanes exist? No answer came. Humanity said nothing. Silence was its sharpest blade. Back on Titanes, Kalen convened his closest officers in the war chamber. Holographic stars floated between them, each point marking systems where rumors spread. Lyra pointed at clusters flashing crimson. The Dominion is moving fleets to fringe territories. Zorth is consolidating power. If he rallies other empires with lies about our intent, we'll face a coalition. A war of extermination. Holt crosses arms. So we hit first, take out their shipyards before they can build their armada. Kalen shook his head. No, if we strike, we confirm their fear. They'll unite against us without hesitation. Our strength lies not in aggression, but in control of the narrative. We will not be the aggressor. We will be the shadow at the edge of their vision. Lyra frowned. So we wait? Not wait, Kalen said. Prepare, strengthen, and let fear do the work. Every day the galaxy debates. We build. Every day they argue. We sharpen our blade. That night, Kalen walked the observation decks alone. Through the vast glass, he saw the curve of Earth below, bathed in moonlight. Cities glittered along its coasts, alive again after centuries of silence. Humanity was no longer hiding, but it was not yet ready for the storm Zorth was preparing. He whispered to the void, "The galaxy thinks we revealed everything, but they've only seen the beginning." Meanwhile, on Relther, Zorth met with his Shadow Council in private. Maps filled the room. Star charts, old archives, human records believed long buried. His voice was a low rasp. Humanity has shown one weapon. I refuse to believe they have only one. Find the others. Before the next cycle, I want proof of their hidden fleets. Bring me their secrets, and we will cut out their heart before it beats again. In his eyes burned something colder than anger. Not fury at the defeat, but fascination. The humans had built what even Dominion minds had not conceived. To Zorth, that was both threat and temptation. Let them believe they shook us, he said softly. In truth, they woke us. The Dominion moved first. Zorth's plan had worked too well. His campaign of fear rallied more than his own empire. Smaller states, convinced humanity intended conquest, lent fleets to the cause. In weeks, an armada larger than anything assembled in centuries surged toward Sol. Their arrival blackened the stars. Thousands of warships advanced in disciplined formation, a tidal wall of metal and firepower. On Titanes, alarms thrummed across every deck. Crews rushed to stations. Engines roared awake. The great world ship shifted its orbit, weapons arrays unfolding like the wings of Leviathan. Kalen stood at the central command dais, hands clasped behind his back. His officers reported frantic numbers, enemy tonnage, trajectories, fleet composition, but he did not waver. His voice cut through the storm. They come believing fear has weakened us. They come believing Titanes stands alone. Today, they learned fear was their enemy's weapon, not ours. The first wave struck hard. Dominion cruisers hurled salvos of plasma torpedoes, hammering Titanes' shields until they rippled like a storm-tossed sea. The hull groaned, vast layers of armor absorbing punishment no smaller vessel could have endured. Holt barked across engineering channels, rallying repair crews as systems flared red. "Keep those conduits stable," he shouted. "If the shield lattice folds, we're done." Lyra monitored fleet movements, eyes darting over projections. They're spreading their formation. Surround tactics. They want to box us in. Kalen nodded. Good. That means they underestimate our reach. Signal the vanguard. It's time. The void answered with fire. From behind Saturn's rings and Jupiter's shadow, human ships emerged. Sleek dreadnoughts, smaller than Titanes but bristling with power. They had waited in silence, hidden in planetary shadows, their presence unknown. The enemy faltered. For the first time, Dominion captains realized Titanes was not alone. Human dreadnoughts cut through flanking cruisers with disciplined precision. Plasma beams carved arcs of light, vaporizing enemy formations. Explosions flare like dying suns, and comms channels fill with shouts of disbelief. They had more. They had fleets hidden. But the Dominion's numbers were vast. For every squadron broken, more surged forward. Entire battle groups press against the Terran lines, forcing human ships into brutal close-quarters combat. Kalen remained steady, though the pressure mounted. We cannot win with brute force. Titanes, prepare to lance. Holt stiffened. That beam will drain half our reserves. If it fails... It won't fail, Kalen cut in. Target their command core. Break the serpent's head and the body scatters. The order carried. Deep within Titanes, colossal capacitors drained into the main cannon. The ship's core vibrated with restrained fury. On the bridge, the air thrummed as if reality itself strained. Firing sequence locked, Lyra reported. 60 seconds. The Dominion sensed the danger. Swarms of frigates dived toward Titanes, desperate to cripple the cannon before it unleashed its power. "Hold them," Kalen commanded. Human squadrons threw themselves into the path. Battles unfolded at knife range, torpedoes detonating against shields, boarding craft clashing in brutal skirmishes. Titanes' defensive batteries unleashed storms of fire, cutting down waves of attackers, but still they came. 30 seconds. Holt shouted across the deck. "Overloads in Conduit 9. If they hit us again, the charge will destabilize." "Reroute," Kalen barked. 15 seconds. An enemy dreadnought rammed into Titanes' flank, gouging metal, before detonating its core in a suicidal blaze. Shields shuddered, nearly collapsed. Crews were thrown from stations as the deck quaked. 5 seconds. Kalen's voice was steel. "Now, fire." The lance roared. A beam of pure energy, white-hot and absolute, erupted from Titanes' prow. It tore across the void, a pillar that dwarfed planets. Dominion warships evaporated where it passed. At its heart, the command carriers, fortresses bristling with admirals and strategists, were annihilated in a single blinding instant. Silence followed, then chaos. The Dominion formation fractured, leaderless fleet scattering, comms collapsing into panic. Some ships fled outright. Others fought without coordination, reduced to desperate survival. Kalen watched without triumph. His voice was calm, cold. "Press the advantage. Break them, but do not chase. Let the survivors carry the message." Hours later, the void was littered with wreckage. Dominion banners burned amid drifting debris. Human ships regrouped, battered but unbroken. Titanes remained scarred, but standing, its armor scorched, yet defiant. On the bridge, exhaustion weighed on every officer. Lyra's voice was quiet. "They'll come again. Even broken, the Dominion won't forgive this." Kalen nodded. "No, but the galaxy has seen. They know we are not prey. They know we are not forgotten." Holt leaned against the console, sweat streaking his face. "You think fear will hold them back?" Kalen turned to the viewing glass. Earth shimmered below, serene despite the fires above. Not fear alone. Respect. They came to end us. Instead, they saw what humanity becomes when cornered. They'll think twice before waking us again. On Relther, Zora survived the collapse of his armada. He sat in shadow, watching fragments of the battle replay before him. His crimson eyes narrowed, but he did not rage. They were stronger than expected, he admitted to his council. But this is not the end. Humanity has revealed its power. Power draws envy. Power draws rivals. He leaned back, voice low and certain. One day, the galaxy will unite not against us, but against them. When that day comes, we will be ready. Yet for the first time, even he felt the weight of uncertainty. Humanity had not just won. They had reminded the galaxy of something primal. That beneath steel and stars, they were still the species that clawed its way up from fire. Back on Titanes, Kalen stood once more on the observation deck, alone. The wreckage of battle drifted silently in orbit, illuminated by Sol's light. He spoke softly, though no one was there to hear. "We have shown the galaxy what it feared most. Not our weapons, not our ships, but that humanity endures, that we rise when others would fall." Below, Earth glowed. Its people, unaware of the scale of what had just transpired, carried on beneath blue skies. Kalen allowed himself one rare moment of peace. The storm had not ended, but for the first time in centuries, humanity stood tall in the light of day.